we were talking about this earlier. Mike Vrabel was saying that there's a rat in the building. He didn't like that. What are your thoughts on that and the way he seems to be tempering expectations?
Well, I think the paranoia about some of the media stuff has sort of been there for the last couple of months. And I do wonder if it's left over from the last couple of years. These guys obviously have connections to each other, and these guys know guys who are on the previous coaching staffs. And I do think that there was a little, I don't know if bitterness is the right word, but something along those lines from the staffs that got fired on how the environment here might have contributed to those guys losing their jobs. And it does make me wonder if guys on the current staff had heard this from the previous staffs and are hypersensitive to the idea that people in the building are talking about the way things are going or could talk about the way things are going. So,
because it was a simple question.
Yeah,
I just asked him about Polk.
It was you?
Yeah. And he gave this answer of like, we got a rat here.
It's very straightforward. And I think, Rochi, in a lot of cases, like people are like, well, why are you like, they don't like talking about injuries. It's like, no, you're just trying to confirm what's been reported is true. Like, that's all. That's a standard thing.
And
that
sometimes
happens.
Mike would say, yes.
Yeah, that happens.
Right?
Yeah, that happens. It like with every team every week of the NFL season.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like in the injury rate in the NFL is 100%. That happens all the time. So I do wonder if some of that's the residue of the last couple of years.
Like he was clearly sending a message there, Bert. That was way beyond that report.
No, but like it's just it makes you wonder: is there radar up for
sure?
The last couple of staffs like got weighed down by a negative environment in Boston, and some stuff that happened inside the building came out. So we need to nip everything in the bud. And I wonder if it had nothing to do with your question and more to do with I need to send a message to everybody inside these walls that you are not to talk about this stuff.
Are there guys still employed?
Because that's the type of thing, by the way, that's the type of thing that comes from an agent. Like 9 times out of 10, that comes from the agent.
Okay, but
based on where it was reported, I would say that the likelihood is it's from the player's side, whether it's the agent, the player himself, an advisor, whoever.
Well, Pogue's lucky he's hurt because I don't know if he's on this team. But the thing is that do you think there are people in the building right now that would be motivated to kind of talk off the record to the media about things based on where they are in terms of their position in the organization?
I mean, they're still in the honeymoon phase, so I don't think so. I mean,
what about guys that have been around, like an Elliott Wolf?
I mean, I talk to enough people to know, like, people are being careful about what they're saying, I would say. I think people have a misperception about the way some of that stuff works, in that I'm not sure that there are very many people that are walking around saying like, well, I don't like the head coach in year one, and so I'm going to start talking about everything that's happening in the building. That's not really how that happens. I do think like that, like if you have a pre-existing relationship with somebody, they're going to help you out. And our job is to have as many of those pre-existing relationships as possible. And obviously, like in a lot of ways, for that reason, our jobs conflict with the guys the jobs of the guys who are in charge. And I've said that. I mean, I was on Bill O'Brien's podcast a month ago, and I said
from BC.
Yeah, well, he's up at BC now. Yeah,
yeah, I know, but he has a podcast.
Yeah, he has a podcast. It's great. He had Vrabel on the podcast. It was really good. Yeah,
it's good.
Why the hell does he have a podcast?
For recruiting and stuff like that. Like it's just
people have
college coaches have to do that. College coaches do that stuff.
I thought that it would be. I thought they host a show. But he does.
Well, they do, but it kind of morphed into a podcast.
Yeah, it's actually like John Mita Perel produces. It's actually a really
pretty good.
Show.
They got to get better audio, but it's pretty good.
He does a good job. Oh,
well, I got to talk to one of the 5 people that have heard it.
But anyway, but I said
you got 2 right here.
I said it on his podcast that like our jobs naturally conflict with each other. And that's just the reality of covering a team. Is that there are going to be points where me doing my job is going to be detrimental to you doing your job. And you have to figure out and learn how to manage that and still maintain relationships, and that's just part of it. But this felt to me 1,000,000% like a warning shot to other people.
Yeah, my question would be, what good would it do at this point, right now, where they are in the relationship as a group, as a team going forward? What good would it do Elliot Wolf to release something like that?
Nothing.
Right?
Nothing. And I know.
Joe, what do you think it would do for Elliot Wolf?
It just would probably cover him a little bit that someone from his draft class didn't get cut. And look at that class, Bert.
Right, but why would it help him to put that out?
With Mike, in his relationship
Why would
with
it,
Mike.
like, that's going to get out regardless. If he's out for the year, like, there's no concealing that. That's getting out regardless.
So, but my thing is, do you think Mike Vrabel's a little sensitive to all this? Like, who cares?
That's what I'm saying.
Who's reporting injuries?
No, but that's what I'm saying, Joe, is like, I don't think that this is specifically about this one thing. I think it's a warning shot to everyone in the organization not to talk. That's all it is. And I think it's probably has something to do with the sensitivity over the way the last 2 seasons ended. But they are on their 3rd coach in 3 years. All right? He did not wash everybody out of the organization. Like, he knows that if things are fine now, he knows if they don't think their team is going 10-7, 11-6, whatever, if they look at it and say, we're probably 7 or 8 wins, and there could be some bumps here, and we still might need to flush some people out, right? Well, then there's going to be backstory to that. And people are going to start digging into the backstory. And there was, over the last couple of years, a lot of backstory that became public, right? Like, I think Andrew Callahan's done a good job with some of that. As far as the people on the beat, obviously the guys who've been around forever, Curran and Reese, like, there's been an ability from people to be able to get stuff out of there. And I think Mike knows that. There's, again, relationships between people in the league where they're going to know what the experience of the last 2 coaching staffs was like. And, if you want to put the whole thing together, you can say, we're not as good as people think we are. There are going to be bumps. There's still some house cleaning to do. We need to make sure we get ahead of any stuff getting out there that could cause some things to happen that really might have undermined the last 2
I think there needs to be probably in Mike's mind, right, a cleansing of the organization, right, from top to bottom. And he's talked about that, setting one way for everybody in the organization on one same page. And I think he's trying to stop that right now from this time on.
Well, just keep your circle very small, like Belichick did, and have 5 terrible drafts.
You also have to remember where Mike came from and what the problem was in Tennessee. That's the other thing, is like, he was dealing with an organization that has a zillion different masters, and that, I mean, one of the reasons he was fired was simply because the owner didn't like the environment in the building, and the owner felt like Mike was walking all over everybody. Now, Mike would tell you, I think Mike would flat out tell you, like, ask the coaches, ask the players, they didn't have those problems, right? But there were other people in the organization that felt that way. And so,
because he was too aggro, like he was too much of like an alpha guy.
Yeah, I mean, like that it was my way or the highway, that he walked all over people. And I think you've seen Mike do things to combat that with how he's like involved players' family. You watch a lot of the stuff that's out there, it's involving people's families, and it's trying to create a better environment. Like, I do think like there's some self-awareness on Mike's part.
It is crazy because I've never seen a coach with the ability to speak to players 1 through 90, now it's 1 through whatever, and every day, and be out there, and one play he's talking to Fred Toucher about something on the defensive side, the very next play he's shouting something to somebody on the offensive side, and a lot of that is just it's part of it, and it's just kind of like he looks like he's taking control of everything, I think it's his personality.
That's the whole, and that's the whole thing with him.
It's fascinating.
Well, when he first got to Tennessee, that was basically his message to the players, is that I can look out in the meeting room and I've been every one of you. I've been the guy who was running down on kickoffs at the start of my career, hoping to make it. I've been a Pro Bowler. I've been the guy making nothing. I've been the guy on the big contract. I've been the guy hanging on at the end who barely had anything left.
Right.
Like,
I've been the tight end to catch a pass. I've been the, what I mean?
I've been all of
everything.
You. Right. Like, that was sort of his thing in Tennessee. And so, I mean, I think like the ability to make that connection with players with Mike is undeniable. But I think there's
it's
also
strong
that,
too,
but,
right?
But there was also like that feeling in Tennessee, and especially after everything happened with John Robinson, with A.J. Brown and everything else, and then they bring in Rand Carthon, who wasn't really his pick. He had Ryan Cowden there. Ryan Cowden had been the interim GM. And there were all these moving parts, and the thing got all tangled up, and it wound up ending in the owner walking in unceremoniously firing him.
And you want to learn from that and get it right this time,
and
right?
so, like, now, again, like, it's another example
Yes.
of trying
And
to get
he's
ahead of
amazing.
things.
Freddie Harrison Phillips, who was with the Vikings, was.
Yeah.
But he was they were Special Olympics out in Minnesota at the joint practices, him and Drake May. And Harrison Phillips, I said, what do you think of Vrabel? And he's like, that guy, he goes, I won what's the award? The Ed Block Courage Award.
Yeah.
Each team it gets one player. He says, I won it. I got a call from Mike congratulating me on the Ed Block Courage Award. And not only that, but then I come to joint practices and Mike singles me out and says, how's your family? How's everybody? He goes, I'm going up against this guy. I'm trying to beat the heck out of him. And he's kind of like setting me off. Like, what is he asking me all these questions about my family, my kids? He knows everybody and everything else too. But that's kind of his personality. Right. That's very different than I think I've ever seen in any coach before.
He's like Bill Clinton.
I think there's
makes you feel like you're the only person in the room.
I personally think it's like there is a awareness that Mike has that you can't just flip a switch and change everything. And I think it's something that a lot of people here don't realize. They think that, oh yeah, we can just hire a coach and then it'll
Right.
all be fixed. And that's not the way it works. You are on your third coach in 3 years. I've heard a lot of this, like on the expectations thing, right?
Yeah.
So I think.
Can we break and get
Yeah.
to that? Because
Yep.
I want you to be able to say
Sure.
your piece. All right, we have headlines. We'll be right back. Joe, you had something for Bird.
Yes, two things. Number one, it sounds like Mike Vrabel. Well, he announced today that Stefon Diggs will be ready to go week
Yep.
one. I just wanted to ask you: was there any smoke to the fact that they were unhappy, or the reports that he was a pain in the posterior? I believe was the quote that I saw in the I believe Phil Perry had that. Was there anything to that? And you mentioned a projected trade, if there was one, of Diggs and picks for McLaurin if a deal could get done.
So on the first thing, I think as far as like this summer goes, Diggs has done everything that's been asked of him this summer. There's going to be some ancillary stuff that goes along with having him, which is sort of the price of admission with Steph and always has been. Doesn't mean he's a bad guy. I actually personally like him a lot, but there's always been a little bit extra. And I'm going to be interested to see how he fits in. His thing has always been getting the ball. And I think last year one reason it wasn't a problem in Houston was because he walked into the receiver room. Oh, there's Nico Collins. That's a real number one. What happens when he walks into a receiver room when there isn't one of those there if he's not getting the ball? That's a question, won't be answered till we get to see them.
Do you think he'll get the ball?
Games.
I think he will initially, right?
Yeah, no, I think. I would think they will get him the ball, but that was part of the problem in Buffalo. Was like the Bills got a little tired of like every 3 plays. If Josh hasn't thrown over that way, then we got some maintenance we got to take care of.
Well, it killed Allen's career when he left.
Yeah. So and
sarcastic.
then
Got that right.
on the trade idea. So look, everything Washington has done has been pushing their chips into the middle of the table for this year. Trading for Marshawn Lattimore in season last year, trading for Deebo Samuel, trading for Laramie Tunsil. They're trying to take advantage of the rookie contract window with their quarterback. And if you look at their receiver room, they like the rookie they have, Jalen Lane out of Virginia Tech. I mean, Deebo is what he is at this point. There's just not a ton there. So they really need Terry McLaurin. So, like, my whole thing was, if this is another one like the Cincinnati situation with Trey Hendrickson, where if you're going to come in and offer something for Terry McLaurin, which I don't think it's going to happen anyway. I think they're going to find a resolution there. I think you got to give them some help now. And if they don't like the idea of making this commitment to an older receiver where they have to guarantee money in 26 and 27 for a guy who's turning 30, well, Steph Diggs' contract does have flexibility to bail after 25, after 26. So there's way more flexibility baked into that contract on top of the fact that Steph is from D.C. So there's just like some pieces together. Like if you want to get creative, and it was my idea, it's not coming from my phone or anything like that. But like if you want to get creative about it, like, and you were willing to give up a first round pick to go get Terry McLaurin, would Terry and Steph make sense where you're helping Washington now and you're helping Washington later?
Does him saying that he will be ready to go week 1, does it change the fact will he be a Patriot week 1? Stefon Diggs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think the Patriots are leery of giving up anything now, draft pick-wise, because of the situation they're in with depth?
I think they should be, yes. I mean, they're not close, all right? And I understand, again, like this is sort of what I was getting to before the break, Fred. I understand it sucks that people have had to sit through the last couple of years the way that they have, right? And there's this whole thing about like, well, like it's been 2 years, but have they been 2 productive years? Okay, you can't sit there and say, well, we've waited they've had long enough, right? And then kill them for the 24 draft and kill them for the 20. There's like, if there's nothing there, there's nothing there. Look at the last 5 drafts. How many productive players how many guys that you're going to look at and say that could be a cornerstone going forward are there from those drafts? Christian Gonzalez, maybe Christian Barmore.
Right. And that's
Who
a
else?
question mark, too.
Who else?
Yeah.
Who else? So, I mean, and we'll see what happens with this year's draft class, but you can't sit there and count like the last 2 years as like, well, like there's no excuse. They should be building and blah, 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 and then kill them for the draft class and say, like that doesn't make any sense.
Right. What makes sense is
that just flat out that defies logic.
And right, and what's common sense is you look at their team, and it's all players that they've brought in or drafted like now, right? And then the depth that's behind them, they're getting rid of. That was there. That says the quality of players that were here and what they need to do going forward.
I sat here, okay, in January, February, March of 2024. When Gerard and Elliott took over, and how many times did I say to you guys, Fred, that this is a multi-offseason rebuild?
Yeah.
Right? So if the 2024 offseason was a black hole, draft, free agency, contracts, all of that, if that offseason was a black hole, and we're all acknowledging it was a black hole, then wouldn't it logically remain a multi-offseason rebuild? If that offseason, if you got nothing out of the 24 offseason, we were all saying, and I was leading the charge on this is a multi-offseason rebuild, and you got nothing out of that offseason, wouldn't this remain a multi-offseason rebuild? And that's what Mike Vrabel and Ryan Cowden and John Stryker walked into, and I think that's why you're getting that vibe now. Like they've realized, like we are wafer thin on our roster. We still have gaping holes. We have some things here that we're not going to be able to hide or cover up. So
especially with injuries in the NFL. Any injuries are going to kill them.
And then you look down the roster, and then you look down the schedule. It's like, oh, well, look at the schedule. Well, what exactly makes you different than Carolina or Vegas? What? Tell me what makes you different.
Quarterback, right?
Yeah, well, no.
That's what you hope.
I would rather have Geno Smith week 1 than Drake May.
Who was a better quarterback last year, Geno Smith or Drake May?
Geno.
Right. So
who was the better quarterback?
And I'm not saying Drake's got a higher ceiling, but now we're projecting.
Right.
I mean, Bryce Young played well at the end of last year. Carolina's got a reason. So it's just, I think again, there's just this level of entitlement, I'd say, in the fan base and the media, and I think that's part of what's making the new guys there a little uncomfortable. Like, wait a minute, like. We did not inherit the 2018 Patriots here, Right. That's not what we're walking into.
Okay. We got to go. But, Bert, I really appreciate you coming in on Monday. I really do.
It was a struggle getting in here, but I made it.
I didn't bust your balls for being late. All right. Thank you, MMQB, Amazon. Enjoy your Labor Day.
You too.
Thank you for coming in. Now you have a full.
What's your first game?
Dan, we have to break. It's 7:59.
I'll ask you off the air.
If you like that clip, and how could you not? Check out more videos from Toucher and Hardy here. Point slightly up and to the left. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. Point slightly down and to the left. And for the latest from the Sports Hub, download at 985thesportshub.com.